Thanks for joining me today for today's webinar on migrating your DirectAccess deployment from the Celestix WSA to the E Series appliance platform. Before we get started, just a brief introduction for those of you who are not familiar with me. My name is Richard Hicks, and I am the Director of Technical Services for Celestix Networks. And I'm a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional in the Microsoft Enterprise Security discipline. I have a number of different Microsoft certifications. I've been in the business for a number of years now, coming up on 20 years, I think. For the majority of my IT professional career, I've been focused mostly on Microsoft Edge Security and Remote Access solutions. Historically, that's been ISA Server and IAG, some TMG and UAG. And for the last 3-4 years, almost 5 years now, we've been spending a lot of time with DirectAccess, which is really the focus of today's conversation. A little bit about Celestix Networks. So Celestix has been around for a number of years. We've started out originally in 1999, so we've been in business for a number of years now. Originally started out developing checkpoint hardware firewalls. So if you go back and you remember the Taurus platform, then you're probably an old guy like me. Celestix has a worldwide presence. We do have offices. Our corporate headquarters is in the Bay Area, in Fremont, in the Silicon Valley, but we do have a presence in Europe, UK, Southeast Asia, and so forth. We've got many customers who've deployed our solutions, and our solutions are available through a number of different distributors and resellers around the world. DirectAccess, again, the focus of today's conversation, it's been with us for a number of years. I'm guilty of often referring to DirectAccess as a new technology, and I think that's mostly out of the fact that I'm talking to customers who've never heard this, but at the end of the day, DirectAccess has actually been with us a number of years. It originally started life as a skunkworks project after Windows Server 2008 was released, and it was pretty clever. It used some of the native Windows platform technologies, things like IPsec, IPv6, group policy, Windows Firewall with advanced security, a number of different things to build this seamless and transparent, always-on remote access solution, and ultimately it made it as a product and as a feature of Windows Server 2008 R2 officially. The real challenge with DirectAccess and Server 2008 R2 is that it had very steep infrastructure requirements, the biggest showstopper of that being the requirement for IPv6 deployment. So it required that IPv6 had to be deployed on your corporate intranet. And again, that was a huge one. So many organizations were obviously hesitant to do that. Very few have actually deployed IPv6 even today. And deploying IPv6 is not trivial, by the way. And so the DirectAccess was an interesting, almost from a kind of a thought experiment, but at the end of the day, it wasn't widely deployed. So Microsoft realized this, and when they introduced Forefront Unified Access Gateway, or UAG 2010, they included a number of features that reduced some of the infrastructure requirements and reduced some of those barriers to entry for deploying DirectAccess. Celestix introduced the Celestix WSA platform, which was delivering Server 2008 R2 and the Forefront UAG 2010 workload. And although we deployed it significantly in the majority of deployments as an SSL VPN, web application, proxy, those types of things, we started to see a number of customers deploy it as a DirectAccess gateway because it had some capabilities that allowed you to deploy DirectAccess, take advantage of DirectAccess, but at the end of the day not have to deploy IPv6 on your corporate intranet. So it had some real advantages. The challenge is that, of course, that it brought a number of disadvantages with it. Well, first of all, UAG is somewhat challenging and difficult to manage. It's not a lightweight product. It itself is not trivial to install and configure, although it's made significantly and substantially more easier to deploy and manage on our platform. At the end of the day, it brought its own set of unique challenges to it. So while things got better, things did tend to get worse. So Microsoft, of course, realized that, and beginning with Windows Server 2012, included all of the DirectAccess capabilities of Server 2008 R2 and Forefront UAG 2010, and included those in the operating system. And in Windows Server 2012 R2, made some minor changes and upgrades to that. And today, it's actually a very stable platform. The Celestix E Series hardware appliance platform delivers the unified remote access role on Windows Server 2012 R2. So for those of you who have deployed Forefront UAG today, you face some challenges, especially with the direct access role. From a product perspective, of course, the Celestix WSA is built on Windows Server 2008 R2, delivering Forefront UAG 2010. But the real problem here is that this operating system is beginning to show its age. It's pushing 6 years old now. Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2 especially performs much better, is much more secure. Also, the UAG architecture is becoming a bit antiquated and really suffers from some real challenges with regards to limited deployment options. For UAG, UAG had a hard and fast requirement that you had to have 2 network interfaces. You had to be connected directly to the public internet, and there's some other challenges there as well. And I think one of the biggest challenges today that those of you who have deployed the Celestix WSA face is that Forefront UAG 2010 is now deprecated. So Microsoft formally announced the end of life for that product a few years ago, and mainstream support is fast approaching. The end of mainstream support is fast approaching. So in April of 2015, Forefront UAG exits mainstream support, goes into something called extended support. Extended support is a very limited support offering for these Microsoft platforms, limited to security updates, bug fixes if you're a large enterprise, but oftentimes the answer is, we're not going to fix it. They're just simply not. They're not dedicating any real resources to maintaining and supporting these solutions. So obviously the solution to this today, and one that is again the primary focus of our conversation, is the Celestix E Series hardware appliance platform. So again, the Celestix E Series built on Windows Server 2012 R2. We deploy the unified remote access role, which is a feature of the operating system, which again provides us a number of things, support for not only direct access, but VPN, client-based VPN, site-to-site VPN. The E-Series also includes support for the web application proxy role. It includes support for things like remote desktop gateway, workplace join work folders. There's a number of features that are a part of the Celestix E Series. Now, that's not to say that you would probably want to deploy all of those roles on that box, but certainly it does provide a lot of flexibility. It's also important to understand that you can consolidate a lot of your remote access solution if you deploy a single hardware platform that provides both direct access and client-based remote access VPN as well. Of course, the advantages to our appliance platform are heavily stacked in favor of performance. Our solution performs infinitely better than most other solutions, especially those that are running on hypervisors. And you get a certified configuration with predictable performance, which is really, really vital to the success of a direct access deployment today. We have a variety of models. The E-Series comes in 3 sizes. I like to call it, small, medium, large. At the low end of the scale, the E3400 series, designed for small to mid-sized deployments, 500 or so users. The 6400 really is the sweet spot. I think that for the majority of customers, this is an excellent solution. Supports, up to 3,000 or so users. Provides some additional redundancy as well. And then the 8400s are enterprise class units. So for our very large customers, we deploy the 8400. It's a behemoth. It's a workhorse. Supports 10 gig Ethernet, plenty of RAM, plenty of processing power. And so for the largest deployments, that 8400 really, really does fit the bill. And direct access does support clustering and high availability, so you can create clusters that are always on or highly available, and active is actually the phrase that I'm looking for. So you get maximum investment for your dollar on that, so you don't have to have just an investment in a device that's standing there doing nothing until it fails. It actually participates in handling your production workloads, so you can spread that load. So there's a whole host of new direct access features in Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2. I could probably talk for hours about all of the individual features, but we have just a limited time today, and what I want to do is go over a couple of what I think are very key points to direct access on the Windows Server 2012 R2 and Celestix E Series platform. I think one of the biggest is simplified deployment. So the unified remote access role allows you to consolidate all of your remote access requirements, not only direct access, but client-based VPN, site-to-site VPN, and so forth. Now, for small and mid-sized businesses, you can safely deploy all of those roles on a single box or maybe a clustered pair. For our enterprise customers, there are some very compelling reasons to break those workloads out, both from operational and also from a technical perspective. There's some performance penalties you pay for co-locating some of these workloads. So if you have concerns about that, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions for you offline. So just drop me a note, and my contact information will be at the end. But it does support all of those things, which is helpful. DirectAccess and the Unified Remote Access role on Server 2012, with regards to DirectAccess specifically, does allow for reduced infrastructure requirements. So there are deployment scenarios that don't require PKI. I put an asterisk there because it's not a recommended best practice, but for small and mid-sized businesses where resources are a little bit more constrained, that's certainly an option. It also limits you to supporting only Windows 8 clients, so that for our enterprise customers is potentially problematic. You can co-locate the network location server, which is a supporting infrastructure service for DirectAccess. You can co-locate that on the appliance, so that saves you a box there as well. All of this, of course, leads to lower costs, and the fact that you don't require client access licenses is a big deal too. So this is a license per processor. You buy the box, you get the licenses with it. You can put 10 users on it, you can put 10,000 users on it. As long as the hardware supports your workload, you don't have to worry about buying client access licenses for each DirectAccess connected user. So that saves organizations a tremendous amount of money. And also, if you're looking to augment your existing client-based VPN solution, many of our customers have something like Cisco AnyConnect deployed. You can draw down on that because the vast majority of your remote access needs can be met using DirectAccess, which again, after you purchase the solution, doesn't cost anything in terms of licenses. There are no concurrency limitations, and so it's a much more flexible solution. Another very significant improvement with regards to DirectAccess in Windows Server 2012 R2 on the Celestix E Series appliance platform is a much more flexible networking model for DirectAccess. So you can still deploy DirectAccess edge-facing. That means with two network interfaces, a public IPv4 address assigned to the external interface and a private IPv4 address assigned to the internal interface. And this is the only networking model supported with UAG and UAG DirectAccess. So the fact that it's edge-facing puts many security administrators at ease because the DirectAccess server to support DirectAccess must be domain joined. So again, there's a lot of hesitancy to place a domain joined Windows server connected directly to an untrusted network, a very hostile network like the public internet. So to address those concerns, Windows Server 2012 R2 DirectAccess supports perimeter or DMZ deployments and actually supports one or two network interfaces. So you can deploy this in single network interface mode if you choose. You can use exclusively private IPv4 addresses on the internal and external interfaces, or just internal interface if you're doing a single network deployment. And the advantage here, of course, is that you can leverage your existing network security assets to provide a high level of protection for your DirectAccess client. So that's extremely important. From a performance and scalability standpoint, the solution supports streamlined load balancing, so it does have support for integrated Windows network load balancing. UAG has this to some extent as well. However, the mechanism and the underlying mechanics of creating network load balanced arrays in UAG was cumbersome, to say the least. Much more easy and much more efficient in Windows Server 2012 R2 for the DirectAccess workload. DirectAccess also has native support for third-party load balancers. For our enterprise customers, that's the path that we recommend. Hardware load balancers or dedicated third-party load balancers, be they hardware or virtual, offer much more granular load balancing capabilities, much more visibility, and things like that. So they have some significant advantages there. There were a number of improvements made to the IP-HTTPS IPv6 transition protocol. So for those of you not familiar with this, DirectAccess from a client perspective is IPv6 only. The DirectAccess client communicates exclusively using IPv6 from the DirectAccess server to the DirectAccess gateway. Now, the server and the client are more often than not located exclusively on the public IPv4 internet, so we need some way to transition or tunnel the IPv6 traffic over the IPv4 internet. DirectAccess leverages a number of different transition protocols. One of them is called IP-HTTPS. It is probably the most commonly used transition protocol because it is the one that provides the most ubiquitous access. Now, with regards to IP-HTTPS, it's sort of self-explanatory. What we're doing is we're taking this IP traffic, which is IPsec encrypted, and then we're encapsulating that in HTTP and protecting it with TLS, SSL and TLS. The challenge there is that we have a tremendous amount of protocol overhead because we're basically taking IPsec encrypted traffic and encrypting it again with TLS. So in Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012, beginning with those operating systems, Microsoft made some changes to the protocol to reduce that protocol overhead. The disadvantage here is that it's only available, or that capability is only available to Windows 8 and later clients. If you're supporting Windows 7 clients, there's still going to be double encrypting. If you're supporting Windows 8 clients, IP-HTTPS now offers a performance that's on par with Teredo. The advantage from the user side is, of course, that there's less encapsulation, decapsulation going on the client side. Throughput's going to seem, the connectivity is going to seem a little bit better, but significantly increased user counts on the server side. So we can much more effectively scale a direct access solution when we're using IP-HTTPS with null encryption. So one of the things you'll see as we get through the next couple of slides, and you've seen them already, is that there are some drawbacks to supporting Windows 7 clients. Windows 8 clients, the experience is always going to be better from a performance and from a usability perspective. So just a heads up on that. One of the things also that the solution provides now that was not provided to you in Forefront UAG is geographic redundancy. Now we have the support for multi-site configurations. And what a multi-site configuration means is that we have a single direct access deployment that is comprised of multiple entry points. So what this provides for you is a consolidated management view of all of your direct access servers in the organization. Classic example would be I'm a multinational corporation. I have data centers in Los Angeles, California, Dallas, Texas, New York, and I have one in Berlin, Germany, for example. In that case, I have one management console where I have a view of all of the direct access entry points. I can manage the configuration of each of them accordingly. More importantly, I can monitor on those as well. And so I have a more consolidated management and reporting infrastructure. Also for direct access clients, as long as they're Windows 8 and later, they do support automatic site selection. So Windows 8 clients know about all the entry points and will automatically and dynamically select the closest entry point. So if you have a user that's in Los Angeles, they will connect to the Los Angeles entry point. However, if they fly to New York for meetings, they get off the plane, they go to the Starbucks, they open up their laptop, the Windows 8 client will then select the New York entry point because it's closer. That mechanism works fairly well using the native tools, but it can be augmented using a GSLB solution. So DirectAccess now has native support for third-party GSLB. Using a third-party global server load balancing solution available from a number of vendors, of course, provides you with, again, some of the same advantages you have for Layer 3 load balancing. So it provides much more granular traffic distribution, a little better intelligence and those types of things. So let's talk about the migration option. So you have Forefront UAG deployed today on the Celestix WSA platform, or on your own solution. You've deployed UAG on your own hardware, and you're considering migrating your direct access users over to the Celestix E Series. How can we get there from here? The answer is actually fairly simple and straightforward. There is, however, no in-place upgrade option, so there is no way to simply upgrade our appliance or even your own solution to the latest operating system and have all the direct access configurations come over. There is no option to export-import configuration. It really has to be done in a side-by-side migration using a parallel deployment. So what you would do is you would implement the Celestix E Series, install and configure direct access, do a bit of a test, perhaps a pilot group to just make sure that you thoroughly test the solution, make sure that it's up and functioning correctly, and then from there you can migrate your users. You just basically move the users from one security group to another. When you move the users from a security group that's assigned to direct access in UAG over to the security group that's been assigned to the Server 2012 Celestix E Series platform, what will happen is that any clients that are internal will just pick up the new group policies the next time they reboot, or if they stay online for a long time, the next time they update their Kerberos ticket for the computer account. They'll get their new group membership, they'll get the new group policies, because, again, all of the configuration for DirectAccess is handled via group policy. Once that happens, then they're good to go. The next time they go outside, they will be able to connect to the Server 2012 solution. For those clients that are outside, it takes a period of time, but eventually those clients will reboot. Once they connect over the UAG DirectAccess, they will receive the DirectAccess policy via group policy for the Server 2012 solution, and then they will disconnect from the UAG solution, move over to the E Series 2012 platform, and connect there. From there, all you need to do is just monitor the number of concurrent users you have on both solutions, and as you see everybody moved over to the Server 2012 solution, then at that point you can retire and decommission your existing Forefront UAG Server 2008 R2 DirectAccess solution and go on about your business. And at that point, you're in good shape and you're good to go. That's about it for today's webinar. It's kind of short and sweet. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take those. There is a question window. You can actually, I think, raise your hand. And so if you have any questions, please do so. So first question, for disconnect reconnect scenario, have you seen clients handle the reauthentication when two-factor authentication is required? So the answer is yes. So when a client disconnects and reconnects, it really depends on the amount of time that has elapsed. So two-factor authentication uses short-lived certificates that have basically a lifetime of about an hour. Depends on how you configure your CA, but ultimately it's about an hour. So if they momentarily disconnect and reconnect, they're not reprompted because they still have the certificate. However, if they disconnect and go home and a couple hours later they log on, they will absolutely be prompted for their OTP again. And the OTP is really nothing more than a mechanism to get that short-lived certificate, if that answers your question. Looks like we've answered everybody's questions at this point. What I would say is that if you have any questions at all, you can. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. So you can get more information about our platform and our solutions by visiting celestix.com/edge. If you're interested in our solutions, you'd like to know more about them, you can drop a note to sales@celestix.com, and the territory sales manager will reach out to you and then can connect you with additional resources. If you have technical questions, just drop those to me, rhicks@celestix.com. I'd be happy to answer those for you anytime. And again, if you didn't get that, or if you don't remember it, if it's not working for some reason, sales@celestix.com. Tell them you have a technical question. They will certainly put you in touch with me directly that way. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining the webinar today. I appreciate it tremendously. Look forward to talking to you guys next month. We have some new features on the Celestix hardware appliance platform that are pretty exciting and compelling, and I'm going to introduce those to you guys next month. So if you have any questions at all, again, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But for now, enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for joining.